Hi everyone, it's Becca from Scratch Magazine here, and I hope you're enjoying the sunny weather that we're experiencing today. So today I'm going to be joined by Jennifer Young, who many of you may know from her training for beauty pros to help support cancer patients through their work, and she also has a Beauty Despite Cancer skincare line, which has been really successful. And now she's branching out into helping those affected by the menopause. And we're going to be talking today about her new platform, Menopause Plus, as well as the product range and the training that provided alongside it. And yeah, it's a really important one. So we hope you'll all stay for this. And any questions you have, please just do pop them below, and this will be available afterwards on Instagram TV. We can get chatting. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. That was a great introduction. There's nothing left for me to say.
I'll see you later then.
Yeah, you don't need me. You just carry on.
I think you're on your side. Are you able to turn your camera around?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, amazing. I can see you properly now. That's great.
I
Well,
was the
thank you
right
for
way up
joining.
for me. Sorry, go on.
Thank you for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have you on.
It's honestly an enormous pleasure to be here. I think this is the first live session where I've discussed M+.
Oh, amazing. Well, I'm so excited to chat to you about it. So, to start off, can you just explain a little bit about what inspired you to launch Menopause Plus and kind of what the aim is behind it?
Sure. Well, I've been working with menopausal women for about 10 years, as you kindly already explained. I'm best known for my work with those affected by cancer. And often those who are affected by cancer have a very quick and severe onset menopause because the treatment for a lot of cancers requires the removal of some female hormones, some female reproductive hormones. And when they're gone, or reduced significantly, then menopause happens, periods stop. And that's just a very quick way of getting to this normal life stage, which happens to 100% of women. And I hadn't really been involved in the natural menopause world, although we have had, you've mentioned our products, we have had those for a long time. But the work that we've been doing cancer patients is all encompassing and all consuming. And it just never really got the attention it deserved. And then recently I got to a point where I recognized what my reluctance was to enter this world. And it was because every time I looked at a menopause site, it was filled with prematurely aged, miserable looking women who had their head in their hands, and they were just, it's kind of like they'd given up. And that was the narrative. And that's what was holding me back, because that isn't my approach to life at all, and that isn't the way that I see this life stage. It wasn't doing it for me. And as soon as I recognized that and recognized that I could do it differently, then it was game on. And the consumer site is called the Menopause Plus, because there's lots of pluses to getting to this stage of life. So many. Not as many financial concerns. There's a lot more freedom in a lot of ways. I was about to say the ability to travel. That's always got a question mark over it. But lots going on, which doesn't require one to sit at a kitchen table with one's head in one hand looking miserable. And so that really is why I expanded what we were already doing. And of course, having worked with severe menopause for a decade, it made it a lot easier to transfer the knowledge. The learning was done over a period of 10 years. It wasn't like, oh, I've got this idea and let me see what I can do. It was already there.
Yeah, amazing. I think it's so important what you're saying about changing the narrative, because I think people just misunderstand menopause so much, don't they? But actually, as you're saying, there's a lot of benefits to it, and this is what Menopause Plus aims to show, isn't it? It aims to support. Can you tell us a bit about the platform and what is on there?
Sure. Well, I should also acknowledge that menopause can be blooming awful for the majority of people, and I don't seek to trivialize that, and we don't ignore that. We fully address that and talk about some of the positives. And I'm a great one for solutions, not problems. So I recognize the symptoms and then we give people solutions. And I am, I've really struggled with the line, because we're not doctors, although there are a lot of doctors who give us some of their expert help on the site. And so I've also had to, in this intervening period of deciding we were going to do it for those who are going through a natural menopause, have had to commission a lot of research. So the platform is around the research that we have commissioned and the findings of that and how that can be applied to daily life, or which kinds of professionals might be able to help. But also we look at the medical side of things and maybe an alternative to the NHS medical side of things. So it's not just me, and I'm not making it up. We have research and we have experts from other fields, but also because now is a great opportunity for people to do different things. We've got all kinds of people. I was speaking to a sourdough expert yesterday, which is one of the greatest joys of my life. And the week before that, I was speaking to a psychic medium, ditto.
Wow.
So it's all about broadening horizons and speaking to people about the holistic everything that affects them.
I think that's so important, because sometimes when you talk about things like this, it's either, as you say, really negative or really medical. And women that are going through that don't always want to hear that, do they?
No, and it's important as well to listen to the person that one is giving advice to. And there's a whole range. It's not individual on the website, but we're right in the thick of developing some coaching and mentoring qualifications. And one of the things that I encourage people to do in that is to listen to the person and get a feel for their philosophy. So when in conversation somebody's talking about their high levels of exercise and healthy diets and their tendency to use complementary therapies, then HRT maybe isn't the thing for them. And a reasonable way to phrase that might be, when they're asking for solutions, to say, so would I be right in thinking you're not philosophically well aligned with HRT, and then move on. So it's an awful lot about dialogue. It's not just information out. We absolutely spend time listening to people.
Yeah, definitely. And, creating the community is important as well, because people shouldn't have to go through it alone, should they?
And a lot of people do think they're going through it alone. I perhaps shouldn't say this, I was getting myself into trouble, but I'm going to anyway. I've been working with spas for a long time. Our Jennifer Young Oncology Touch Therapies are in the most amazing places. And I think about 5 years ago, I spoke to some of my top spa accounts that I had really good relationships with about touch therapies for women who are going through menopause, and 100% said, nope, not going on our spa menu. And I thought cancer was the last taboo, and I was so wrong. And it's changing now. We are going to develop very soon touch therapies. They'll be launched in June, and there's an awful lot of interest in them, but that's very new, that level of interest. And so that's why people feel that they're going through it on their own, because there's nobody to talk to, there's nobody to listen.
Yeah, exactly. And there's reading a statistic you sent me earlier about how um, women going through the menopause have a combined spending power. Is it 450 billion? Just so much money. So spas and salons have a lot to you know benefit from in terms of that. So there's really no reason why they don't need to get involved.
Well, never do I want to speak for anybody else, but the reasons I've been given, I believe, are largely historic now, because everybody's talking about menopause. But what they were saying was that people who come here for time away with their friends or with their partner or whoever, whatever reason they're in this beautiful resort spa, they don't want to identify as being menopausal. There's some massive issues around that, apparently. And so I've listened to that, because I was actually told it very recently as well. And so our touch therapies will be called hormonal wellness, which is much more palatable, I'm told. So there is no reason, there's never been a reason for them not to be. It felt to me as though it was fear and a projection of attitude. So the people who I was speaking with didn't want to talk about it or be seen to identify it, and therefore neither did anybody else. And that
Yeah.
projection isn't necessarily an accurate one because
Mm,
people are dying to talk about it.
definitely. And so talking about beauty and spa therapists, what sort of advice does Menopause Plus give in terms of helping them to support their clients that are going through the menopause a bit better?
Well, where do we start? Let's start with listening. The reason that I have developed a coaching and mentoring qualification, and this is uncharted territory for us. We've never done a talking therapy before.
Yeah.
We've always done touch. And the reason I did it is because when we set up the Menopause Plus, I discovered that there are no images of beautiful women in their 50s or no beautiful images of women in their 50s. It's just all of this misery. And the only way to get them was to have a photo shoot. And we have quite a good relationship with a lot of our therapists. I send out a newsletter, and some gorgeous lady said, "Yep, I'll come and do your shoot." So we were here in the room that I'm in now, and we had makeup, we had studio shots against a background just like this, possibly this one. And then we went off to location and not too far away to have kind of lifestyle shoots. And then we came back here and did some video interviews. And every single one of those women said to me, "I help my clients by listening.
Yeah.
My clients feel better for talking to me." And I didn't really put two and two together for about a month. And then I thought, oh, if this informal chatting was turned into a structured relationship where goals were set and steps taken in order to achieve those goals, and that conversation, that structured conversation, happened between a client and somebody who had significant knowledge of menopause and was familiar with the research or the findings of the research that we'd commissioned, then all of a sudden that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Talking helps, but talking to a trained professional, then that is going to be incredible, truly
Yeah.
spectacular.
We talk about this a lot of Scratch, but it's providing that safe space, isn't it? To just move away from your home life and just have that space to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And it's therapists are very good at it, but they could be better.
Yeah.
They're just doing their level best, aren't they? They're just being nice people and using all of those soft skills that therapists have. But if you throw a coaching model into the mix, or you explain to them what mentoring is and give them the underpinning knowledge, then all of a sudden this is blooming marvelous.
Definitely. And on Menopause Plus as well, there's a lot of information about the sort of physical changes that a woman will go through, um, that therapists need to kind of be aware of. So that's really helpful as well, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I suppose in my management consultancy past, we'd talk about managing expectations because nobody is in the menopause world. So, and it was exactly the same actually in appearance-related side effect of cancer. Nobody was saying to these women anything. They were asking, "Am I going to lose my hair?" But nobody was. They'd get a yes, no, or maybe a loving response to that. But
Mm.
nobody was saying your skin might get itchy and your nails might drop out and your mouth's
Yeah.
going to be sore. Just nobody was talking to them about any of those things. And so when those things happened, it was described to me repeatedly as the last straw. That's just the last straw.
Yeah.
And had that been information which was given up front, that expectation managed, then there would have been some action taken and just
Yeah.
a change in mindset. If you're expecting and it becomes easier to manage, if it's a curveball, then
Yeah.
you've got no time to prepare, have you? So the first part of both the touch therapy courses and the mentoring and coaching qualifications is this whole big rock of information about this is this is normal biology, this is normal biology for older people, this is the difference between the two, this change results in these symptoms, and these are the things that you can do about those symptoms. As I said, I'm very can do, very positive. So we do talk about the symptoms. I have an issue with
Mm.
that word, but we talk about the symptoms, and we talk about how to ameliorate, is my favorite word, how to make better those
Yeah.
symptoms.
Definitely. And that's kind of what the touch therapies do, don't they? Um, So the wait list is available now, is that correct?
There is the coaching and mentoring is live. We don't yet have a wait list. It's going to be on the 4th of April. The touch therapy courses will go live.
That's so exciting. And so once they go live, what does anyone watching that wants to get involved, what do they need to do?
If it's coaching, if somebody who's watching is interested in coaching and mentoring, then now is the time, because
Yeah.
we've had a pre-launch sale for a while now, and it stops on Thursday, because on Thursday those qualifications go live. So there's a huge discount on those qualifications at the moment, and it absolutely will. Those prices will go back to normal on the 31st when the materials are available. So the place to access that is jenniferyoungtraining.com. And there's a big banner on the homepage that says, if you want to do this, enroll here. And
Yeah.
an awful lot of people have enrolled, which is a really good sign. But now is the time. I would be so sad if somebody was thinking about it, or maybe, and then they just missed the opportunity. It's just under a £2,000 discount at the moment. So it is, now is the time.
Yeah, definitely.
And then as we, on the 4th of April, I hope I've got that date right, launch the touch therapies, or at least the sales of the touch therapies, then the same will happen. There'll be a significant discount available from the point of being able to buy until the materials are actually available, which will be the middle of June.
Amazing. And we should also mention the product range you formulated for Menopause Plus. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, it's a long story. So sit comfortably. One of the things, the baggage that I bring to this world of wellness with me, is that I have a scientific background. And it's always been quite staggering to me that I read things, I'm taught things, and they're presented as fact, but they have no reference. There's nowhere for me to go to decide whether or not I want to believe this fact. And so when I was working in the world of cancer, I was given a really clear steer about products from the NHS and ingredients that we were allowed to use and those that we weren't. Not so when I was working with those who were undergoing a natural menopause. So the obvious first step for me, and I do appreciate that this is a bit weird, is to commission some research. So I worked with a UK university and asked them to look at the literature, so the already published studies, which showed that a complementary therapy was effective in managing the symptoms of menopause. And that's quite a big ask, because there isn't an awful lot of research. And even if there was, it's a big ask. But they did it. We worked with one of only 2 professors of women's health in the UK, and she led the study, which was entirely independent. We commissioned it, but then we have to step back. And they looked at a really strict inclusion criteria. So it wasn't enough to have published a scientific paper. It had to meet their exacting standards, which I can tell you, as if you me, is incredibly frustrating, because I want everything in there, and then that gives me more information. But no, it had to have been published in the period 2015 to 2020. It had to have a sample size of a certain volume, which means that it's a reliable study, and it had to be peer reviewed, which means other people looked at it before it was published.
Yeah.
So when they looked at all of those papers, they found 99 in there that met their inclusion criteria. They looked at them against symptom groups. So they had 6 groups of symptoms, and they looked at these 99 papers and decided that some complementary therapies were better than others at dealing with things, and some complementary therapies, there was no evidence at all to support their efficacy in dealing with the symptoms. There were 2 things that came out top as broad spectrum. So across all of the groups, 2 things came up really well. The first was acupuncture, which I'll come back to if you remind me. And the second is phytoestrogens, and that's plant estrogens. So fortuitously, our products were already filled with phytoestrogenic ingredients, and that's what I believe gives them their superpower. They go in right at the root cause. So you've got all of these women who are losing estrogen, and some of the very well-known therapies, medical and quasi-medical, use phytoestrogens and have topical application of phytoestrogens. Some HRT is topically applied. It's a skin based, and I'm not saying that this is HRT, but I am saying that this is topical application of phytoestrogens, and the estrogens, the phytoestrogens, were shown in this study to have this maximum impact, broad spectrum. So that's them, and it makes them sound really, I'm looking at them, can you see? I'll pick one up in a minute. It makes them sound really functional, but they're not. They're beauty products. They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
We work with spa, we work with therapists, we understand beauty and what consumers want. And that was another driver for me to have beauty, to have skincare products as this source of phytoestrogen, because having worked in a past life as a nutritional therapist, I know how difficult it is to influence behaviour. So the nutritional therapists are up against it. They're saying, oh, you can make this change, you can eat this, and you can take this tablet. And I know how hard that is for both parties. That change is really difficult. And so to have something which is phytoestrogenic, which is normal. It's just a normal part, literally just taking one product and replacing another. The routine doesn't change, and it's a really beautiful, comforting self-care routine. And so we do have body, face, night, morning, but the key theme that runs through all of those is the estrogenic ingredients.
Amazing. There's such a wide range of products, isn't there, that there's going to be something that I think most people could benefit from.
Oh, for sure. And the study as well showed that aromatherapy was effective, particularly against vasomotor symptoms, which is all of the hotness of it. And ours are aromatherapy products because I'm an aromatherapist, and the phytoestrogenic ingredients are all, not all essential oils, some essential oils. The rest of the ingredients are also phytoestrogenic. But I like that the aromatherapy deals with the hot flushes, because one of our favourite products and our absolutely best-selling products, we've got day and night, but it's a spritz. So it meets all of the kind of the scientific things I've been speaking about, but I think we can all understand just the physics of, I get really hot, I spray myself with something cool, and I cool down.
Lovely. And so if any therapists watching want to purchase these products, where do they need to go?
Menopauseplus.com. It's called the menopauseplus.com. And we're a bit early in our wholesale setup, because our touch therapies don't launch until June, although they'll be available to buy from April. And with time, we will have wholesale price lists and resellers. It's just we're right at the very beginning of this whole massive project.
But it's amazing what you're doing, honestly. It's just so inspiring.
Thank you.
And also you said about acupuncture, so how does that help?
Oh, I love acupuncture. That was the other thing. There were two things that came out top in the study of broad spectrum impact. Acupuncture was the other thing. And I genuinely, absolutely love acupuncture. Acupuncture for me cures everything. I recommend it to everybody. We're talking about traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture, not Western acupuncture. I'm not as familiar with that. So when I was thinking about our touch therapies and how to have maximum impact, and I've got all of my research and facts behind me, I really wanted to turn therapists into acupuncturists, because that's how they have maximum impact. But that's quite a big job. So what I decided was that there is another study ongoing. So we've done our study, which is the Lit Review, and there's another one ongoing, which is huge and massively ambitious. And that is to collect data from 1 million women globally. So we have an online questionnaire. I know, honestly, I'm my own worst enemy. So we have this questionnaire, not yet published, which is going to collect data from 1 million women, and it's going to look at the symptoms and look at the complementary therapies which have helped them. So it's not a literature review, it's pioneering new study with original data. And for that study, we've put our symptoms, so there are loads of them, into 11 groups. And this is where the acupuncture and the second study come together. So the acupuncture comes from the first study. The second study gives me the 11 groups, and the treatment brings both of those together.
Yeah.
So the first thing that will happen when somebody goes for a hormonal wellness, let's say massage, is that they will be given a graphic of these groups and the symptoms within each of the groups. So the therapist really easily will be able to identify which of those groups of symptoms is most significant to this client that's walking through the door. And the therapist will have been taught the acupressure points which relate to those symptom groups. So I'm working with I'm an acupuncture student, and I'm working with my teacher, who is just incredible, to identify the actual routine. So if we're talking body massage, then, you know, we all know what a body massage is, and most of us will know what an acupressure point is. And let's just say it's a point on the body, which feels a little bit different to other parts of the body. And therapists can identify that by touch, and we'll teach them which of those pressure points relates to the maximum impact in reducing the symptoms that sit in this group. And they will focus their body treatment on those pressure points. And then at the end of the treatment, all of the things being equal, we're not going to do this to people who have allergies, but they'll have, it's called a magnetic acupressure plaster on the pressure point, so that they have ongoing benefit from that treatment. It keeps the pressure on the pressure point. And so that's where acupuncture, all of the research, past and future, comes together and has its maximum impact in our touch therapies. It's quite exciting, isn't it?
It is exciting, and I love how much research you've done behind it, because I think menopause can be quite a forgotten thing, if you know what I mean. But actually doing that research and knowing and educating is so important.
Yeah, but the really frustrating thing is that a very, very long time ago, when I did my first degree, I did my degree in biology, the first one, and my dissertation, so the project at the end of original study, I did on PMS, and I looked into my hypothesis, the thing I was trying to prove or disprove, was that vitamin B6 would improve the symptoms of PMS. And even then, all of that time ago, there were groupings of symptoms. You know, this grouping of symptoms that we speak about for menopause, this is our work, our novel work, because it's just not done now.
Yeah.
But this is like 1,000 years ago. There was groups of symptoms of PMS, and I could look at the vitamins and I could do my science thing and say with certainty that vitamin B6 is beneficial for these symptom groups. And so when I started looking into menopause, I was like, right, so all of that information, that'll be there. I can do that. And then there was nothing, just nothing. And it's outrageous. So I've had to commission research because there is none. It's just this great forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. And it can't be left like that, because so many women go through it. Well, every woman goes through it. So
yeah, but if we go back to the 450 billion, yeah, that was right, wasn't it? 450 billion spending power of that group. Why would anybody ignore them? You know, even if it's not mission led, if it's not just the right thing to do and therefore we'll do it, surely somebody somewhere's got to think, oh, this is a people who've got a lot of money to spend and nothing specific to spend it on.
Exactly. And there'll be so many of these women that go to spas and they go to salons, but you know, they're actually not getting treatments like personalised to them, if you know what I mean. But that is what Menopause Plus is doing. It's personalising it, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And spas are lovely. You know, everything that happens in the spa is lovely. It just seems such a crying shame that they're not doing the best that they could do.
Yeah. Well, we've just had a comment from someone which is really lovely. And they said, this is just so amazing. It's going to be so helpful for so many women, therapists and their clients, which is so true. It's just so inspiring.
I hope so. I feel excited about it because this is my sweet spot. This is the world of wellness and the world of science coming together. And I just think therapists sometimes are so underestimated. They're really not given all of the tools that they could be given. And this excites me, the fact that they can identify symptoms and then make a bespoke treatment, which is based on exactly what that client needs. It's
Mm.
properly exciting.
It is, yeah, it's so exciting. And just to finish, can you just tell people where they need to go to find all the information from today and that sort of thing, if they're not sure what to do next?
Sure. If they're experiencing menopause, or looking or living with somebody who's experiencing menopause and they want the kind of the consumer information, then themenopauseplus.com is the place to go. And if they're therapists who are looking for further training and information, then jenniferyoungtraining.com is the place to
Yeah.
go.
Thank you so much. And thanks so much for your time. It's honestly been so inspiring to hear from you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's the
Oh,
first time I've spoken about it, really. So apart from
oh,
just when I'm doing videos for our website, so this has been an absolute joy. Thank you very much.
thank you. And I hope loads of people get involved because it's so important too.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Thanks for your
Thank you
support. I
so
really
much.
appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Take care.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye.